The movie opens at a construction site. Clint, a successful contractor, walks into his office and calls his beautiful wife, Joanna. He tells her he's feeling down because she's leaving for the weekend, but he plans to leave work early to say goodbye. However, Joanna sounds irritated by his call. Next, Clint is seen talking to a visitor. Meanwhile, at home, Joanna takes a package out of the mailbox as a dog barks in the background. The scene then shifts to Clint driving down a road. He gets stopped by the local sheriff, Sam, who walks up to his truck and asks if Clint wants to go fishing with him. Clint agrees openly and honestly, saying he's free since Joanna is away for the weekend. The sheriff lets him go, and Clint drives straight home. As soon as he gets there, he opens the door for his dog, Duke, who has been whining in his crate, waiting to be let out. Joanna doesn't seem happy to see Clint at home. She tells him she got his message and says she has to leave soon for a doctor's appointment. Clint then mentions that someone came by the workshop earlier and offered $1.5 million to buy his business, but he chose not to sell. Joanna says it's a lot of money, but Clint asks what he would do if he sold the business. Joanna, now angry, says they could go back to New York. Their conversation turns into an argument. Clint firmly tells her that he moved 2,000 miles from New York to build a better life for both of them. Joanna, clearly unhappy, leaves the house in her light blue car, a car that Clint gave her. Clint is left feeling hopeless. Later, he goes fishing with the sheriff. While they fish, Clint talks about his problems. The sheriff asks how things are at home. Clint says Joanna is a city girl and has had a hard time adjusting. Meanwhile, Joanna is secretly having an affair with her doctor, Cortland. He tells her that she'll have a clinic with him in Beverly Hills, along with other luxuries. Cortland has created a poison from fish ovaries and explains that it will cause a heart attack in whoever takes it. Together, they plan to kill Clint and sell his company. Cortland convinces Joanna to mix the poison into Clint's food and make sure he eats all of it. When Joanna returns home, she starts searching her purse for the poison. The bottle accidentally spills and begins to leak. She quickly hides it in the laundry basket, but the poison continues to leak inside. Later, when Clint arrives home, he sees Joanna cooking a steak for him. He tells her that he'll be in his workshop for a while. Annoyed by the noise from the workshop, Joanna starts thinking about the poison she hid earlier. She takes the bottle out of the trash and decides to pour it into the wine. But before she can do anything else, Clint suddenly appears and brings 2 glasses of wine to the dinner table. Joanna sits down and watches Clint eat, nervous and afraid she might drink from the wrong glass. Clint picks up his glass and asks Joanna to make a toast with him. Sadly, he ends up drinking the poisoned wine. Soon after, his body starts reacting, and he goes into cardiac arrest. Clint falls to the floor in pain and cries out for Joanna to help him. But instead of helping, she coldly tells him to just let go and die. Joanna calls her secret lover, Dr. Cortland, to tell him the job is done. Later, Sheriff Sam and Cortland arrive at the house. Sam is shocked and saddened that his friend Clint had a heart attack at such a young age. While walking through the house, Sam almost steps on the poison bottle, which is now lying on the floor. The sheriff asks the coroner if they should do an autopsy, but Cortland says it's not necessary. The scene then shifts to a cold storage room where several bodies are kept, and one of them slightly moves. The next morning, the coroners take Clint's body out of the bag and begin getting it ready for the funeral. At the same time, Cortland calls the funeral home and says Joanna wants a quick funeral for Clint, with no embalming. Meanwhile, the funeral home workers are about to start cutting Clint's body, but the owner stops them, saying the family didn't pay much. They pick a very cheap casket for Clint and get everything ready for the funeral. During the funeral, Clint's dog acts strangely as Joanna walks up to the casket to place a flower. She pretends to be sad and starts crying. That night, Joanna is seen in the bathtub with Cortland. They drink and laugh together about the murder they committed. Outside, a storm rages with thunder and lightning. Meanwhile, Duke the dog barks non-stop, searching for his owner. Joanna gets annoyed by the dog and says she's had enough. She grabs a gun and shoots the cage door open. When Duke runs out, she tries to shoot him but misses. Duke runs to the cemetery and lies down next to Clint's grave. But to everyone's surprise, Clint is still alive under the coffin. The poison's effects have finally worn off. Clint feels water dripping on his face and tries to get out of the casket. Panicking, he pushes hard and the weak casket begins to break. Thankfully, Clint manages to break through and crawl out of the grave. He sees his dog waiting for him and then begins the journey back home. Clint finally reaches his front door, still weak and struggling to walk. He slowly moves to the side of the house and is shocked to see his wife kissing Cortland. Realizing the full truth, he waits until Cortland leaves. Then, Clint breaks a basement window and quietly enters the house. Clint tries to go upstairs but is too weak and falls down. So he decides to stay hidden in the basement for the night. The next day, Joanna meets with Clint's lawyer. The lawyer gives her information about important documents Clint has and details about his bank account. Joanna tells the lawyer she wants to sell the company for $1.5 million, with payment due in 48 hours. Meanwhile, in the basement, Clint wakes up and slowly goes upstairs. He heads to the kitchen sink for some water, then opens the fridge and grabs something to eat. He's extremely hungry. While Clint is eating, he sees his wife pulling into the driveway. He quickly grabs a gun and rushes back to the basement. But he drops the bullets and has to go down the stairs to pick them up. After loading the gun, he heads upstairs to confront Joanna. Just then, the doorbell rings. It's the sheriff, stopping by to check on Joanna. The sheriff starts talking about how Clint built the house with his own hands. He asks Joanna about the for sale sign in front of the house. Joanna replies that the house feels too small now that Clint is gone. They also talk briefly about her plans to sell the business. As Sheriff Sam gets ready to leave, Cortland arrives, pretending to visit his patient, and heads inside. When Clint sees that Cortland is also in the house, he remembers he only has one bullet loaded. He quickly returns to the basement. Meanwhile, Joanna starts to panic because of the sheriff's questions. She insists they should leave that night, but Cortland tells her to wait one more day since the big money from selling the business will come tomorrow. Joanna and Cortland talk about how she was once pregnant but chose to have an abortion so she wouldn't be tied to Clint. Hearing this makes Clint even angrier. He removes the bullets from his rifle, deciding that shooting them would be too quick and easy. Later that night, after Joanna falls asleep, Clint quietly takes a pair of scissors from the room. After cleaning himself up, Clint disinfects his hands and covers his wounds with bandages. The next day, a group of men arrive with a briefcase full of cash, showing that the sale of the business is now complete. Joanna is stunned by how much money she's holding. After the men leave, she's thrilled and excited about spending the money with Cortland. Meanwhile, the sheriff rushes to Clint's grave and finds it dug up with the body missing. He assumes someone stole it. He tells his team to send the casket to his house and to keep everything quiet while he investigates. Back at Clint's home, Joanna is happily admiring the $1 million until she walks into the bathroom and is shocked to see mud all over the floor. Joanna tries to call Cortland, but he doesn't answer. She leaves a voicemail, warning him that someone might be in the house. Then she remembers the gun and heads toward the basement. On the way, she runs into Duke, who starts barking at her. Nervous, she slowly backs away and goes to get the gun. Just as Joanna is about to shoot the dog, Clint suddenly locks her in the basement. He then goes around, boarding up all the windows to trap her inside. Meanwhile, Cortland is talking to his fish while collecting more poison from them. He checks his messages and hears one from his landlord, saying he's being evicted for not paying rent for the past 6 months. When Cortland arrives at Clint's house, he pulls out a syringe filled with poison and starts calling out for Joanna. He goes to her room and sees the briefcase full of cash. Meanwhile, Joanna wakes up in the basement and hears Cortland calling her name over and over. Believing he's the one who frightened her earlier, she quickly hides under the stairs. Joanna hits Cortland with a metal rod, causing him to drop the syringe of poison. She grabs the briefcase and heads upstairs, but Clint suddenly appears and slams the door shut. Later, Clint is seen bringing wood into the house. Meanwhile, Cortland regains consciousness. Joanna apologizes for hitting him and explains that someone has locked them in the basement. Cortland tries to escape by shooting at the locked door, but realizes the bullets have been removed. It's just gunpowder and air. He then tries to break through a wooden window, but Duke starts barking through it, forcing him to back away. Upstairs, Clint is busy remodeling the house. He saws into the walls and even destroys a picture of himself and Joanna. The next day, when Joanna wakes up, Court tells her they've been trapped for 8 hours. He wrongly assumes the man upstairs is Sheriff Sam, thinking the sheriff wants a share of their money. Angry, Court says he's ready to kill him for whatever he's done. Just then, Joanna spots the poisoned syringe lying under the drawer. Realizing that Cortland brought the syringe to poison her, Joanna quickly hides it. She then tells him to burn all the money if he really loves her. Cortland refuses, so Joanna accuses him of trying to poison her. He admits they'll never have their own clinic. Just as Cortland is about to inject her with the poison, the basement door suddenly opens. The two decide not to use the poison on each other and walk through the open door. But they're shocked to see the house completely remodeled, with wooden walls everywhere. As they try to escape, they keep getting stuck and end up trapped in a maze. Meanwhile, across town, Sheriff Sam can't stop thinking about his friend Clint's case. The sheriff decides to take another look at the casket and realizes someone had broken out of it, confirming his suspicions. Back at Clint's house, Joanna and Cortland begin arguing about the crime they committed. Suddenly, a wall rises between them, splitting them apart. At the end of a hallway with an open window, Cortland spots a dark, shadowy figure. Thinking the shadowy figure is Sheriff Sam, Cortland tries to bribe him with all the money. But Clint steps out and reveals himself. Shocked, Cortland trips over the briefcase and accidentally falls onto the syringe, injecting himself with the poison. Meanwhile, Joanna finds herself trapped between Clint and a small hatch. She crawls through the narrow passage, but it leads to a dead end. Clint then closes the hatch, locking her inside.
Why are you doing this to
Clint finally shows himself to Joanna and brings up the baby she aborted, asking if it was a boy or a girl. He then puts Cortland's dead body and the money into a large wooden coffin and nails it shut. After that, he pours gasoline around the house and lights a flare, setting the whole place on fire. Clint loads the large box onto his truck and brings his loyal dog with him. Shortly after, Sheriff Sam arrives at the burning house. Once the fire is put out, no bodies are found. Later, Sam visits the cemetery and sees a man standing by Clint's filled-in grave. They have a brief conversation. Realizing it's Clint, Sam tells him he doesn't know him and warns him never to come back. Clint understands the message and quietly gets into his truck to leave. Before the movie ends, it's revealed that Joanna's still alive, along with Cortland's body and the money, are now buried in Clint's grave. Joanna screams for help, but no one hears her.